I'm in the building.
I say you've done enough of these lives to be a pro now.
Ah, yeah, you never know. You always learn a different thing. Every live, you learn a different thing, I think, anyway.
I, thanks so much for doing this, with me for a start. How has lockdown been for you up until this point?
You know what? It's been, I suppose now we're sort of coming out of it, looking back on it, it's been okay, actually. I always say this, and this is true, and this is all I can really remember. I remember the first 5 weeks being particularly difficult. I
Yeah,
remember sort of, it's like being spun around, with your eyes closed, and then opening your eyes and having to stand straight. And that's what I felt. And I think it wasn't just me going for it. I'm sure the whole world was feeling the same thing. It never happened before. It was unprecedented. And to be in the entertainment industry and to have, you be pulled off tour to gig and no one really knew the future. The future was really uncertain. And, the more you kind of looked into it, the more you realized that even the government didn't really know what was going on. And and they'd never dealt
yeah,
with anything like this before. And that was incredibly worrying. And then because I think, being in the music business, I think that I'm a creative. So, whether it's songs or dance routines or bands or whatever, it's to create something that's not there and then create something. And I think I started to try to create my way out of the situation,
yeah.
by thinking of various things to do. Obviously, I'm with this new band, and we never took recording seriously, very seriously, up until yeah. Well, the thing is, we were. It's easy to kind of get. When you're like a heritage band, when you're a combination of bands that have had success before, i.e., with me and Phats and Small, Dane with Another Level, and on his solo success, and Shane with
Yeah,
Boyzone and Abs with Five, you kind of you could just rely on that, relax on that. The catalog's there, history's happened, and
yeah,
you've sold millions and millions of records. So there is someone that's going to want to hear you sing those records. But so we never thought of progressing it and doing new stuff. But I think during lockdown, when you couldn't actually go out and gig, was the time we started saying, well, let's push this further until we can go out and
yeah.
gig. And then that's how,
Def-
Boys on Block started, the band. I mean, we started moving forward. So that was a good thing that came out of lockdown and stuff.
yeah. I totally agree. I feel like someone said to me recently, they were like, "Oh, I bet you've gone through the mill." I was like, "I really have." I said, "But to be honest, if I hadn't have gone through what I'd gone through, half of the ideas and things that I've put together to actually, get up and, like say, create things,
Yeah.
wouldn't have happened." So I do feel like fate has a way of putting you in a situation, and I think it's up to you as an individual to go, right, I can either sit down and let this just completely swallow me up, absorb me, feel depressed, feel really down, which I had days like that. You're
Yes.
probably the same. Or I get up and I go, right, I've been given these set of materials. What the hell do I do with this? And try and make something work.
Yeah, totally.
But
Totally. I think the whole world has changed, and that's the thing. And sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. I mean, it was in bad taste to admit, and this is like going too serious. But my brother works for the FTSE, the Dow Jones Index and the FTSE and the finances, and he said that
okay,
people will be scared to admit that a lot of companies are quids in, because they're not paying the travel for their staff. So that's that they can, cut down 20, they say 20 grand there with rail cards for different people.
yeah,
People aren't coming to the office, all their expenses have been cut. And they're realizing you might not need that office in Oxford Street anymore, or that office in Regent's
no,
Park. You might not need that anymore. And I think that it sped the world because you got my other half, Vanessa. She would never be on a smartphone, ordering on even doing an Asda order or anything like that. Now she's all technical now, and she was never going to do it. I don't think. So it's moved all of that forward by about 10 years apparently. So everyone knows how to order on their
yeah.
phone. Everyone's buying online and all that sort of stuff. And that they predicted where we are now for 10 years time. So yeah, it's changed,
Well,
man.
where we're going to be. I think it's been done about you, but it's also highlighted for me like the importance of the things that are important, things that aren't important, and actually how much I was spreading myself so thin. I don't know if you're the same. That actually
Mm.
looking at things now, going, do you know what? I do need to spend more time with my other half or my friends or the people you've missed, the people you haven't missed. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, totally. I think that human beings realized that they like each other more than they thought they did. You know, there was a lot of
yeah,
people say, "Oh, I can't stand people. I just want to get away. Just want to be on my own." I think that when they were actually on their own in isolation, they thought, "Oh, actually, this might not be. This is not as yeah. This isn't what it's cracked up to be." So
yeah,
we realized that we liked and loved each other, and we also realized that just a conversation like this, going for a chat, having a drink, was more than enough. It didn't have to
yeah,
even get like, you don't even have to go out and get
deep,
on it and get smashed. And it's not
yeah,
even that. It's like, hey, bit of music, bit of chat,
yeah,
a giggle. It's good. And so it kind of brought us back to the basics. So it was kind of like a great reset. Now it
yeah, definitely.
now it's whether where I've been told that we have short memories. So, as
Mm.
in this time next year, everything might be back to like, 2018, 2019, and we won't be able to even imagine what we went through,
No.
in 2020. So, but we'll wait and see. Time will tell.
So what I was going to ask you is, obviously, we're doing all these chats, which has been lovely chatting to various different people. It's finding out
Mm.
kind of where people started from, rather than I did a chat with Rizala a few weeks ago, and we didn't talk about everybody's free to play. I was like, I want this to be an interview that you remember that we're not going to talk about the single, and she was like, really? And I was like, we should talk about something else. I think she was quite happy about it, but it's finding out about like how did you? I read, were you born? This could be complete rubbish. Were you born in Hong Kong?
Mm. But no big mystery to it. My dad was a merchant seaman, or seaman,
Oh,
sorry, and wherever the ship was, one of his children were born, and I was like
nice.
on that leg. I was on the Chinese sort
You're
of
on the
leg of the
Chinese
of
part of the
the
tour.
tour. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So
right.
yeah, I just happened to be there. So yeah, I was born in Hong Kong, Nigerian parents. So my
Yeah.
mum, who is Nigerian, speaks a little bit of Cantonese, which is quite weird. But it's good. It's quite cool. But I mean, not that I know any of it, but she could, just jump from sort of Igbo, which is a Nigerian dialect, to
Oh,
Cantonese and
that's
English as
amazing.
well. So I just,
Because the
yeah.
thing is, obviously you do so many different things. From like looking at like obviously your time with Phats and Small, but then you've done your presenting, you do songwriting as well. How did it kind of start for you? Did you do the performing arts school and go through there, or did you do something else and it just was like a circumstance thing of who you know and what you know? How did it kind of the ball start rolling for you? I'm always interested to know. That's all.
No, not really the performing arts thing. I just came through rough, man, the rough way. uh,
Right.
yeah, no, you know what? Always interested in the arts.
Yeah.
So, and when you're kind of, as I can look back now, I suppose once you're born to do something, you just are, and you don't even need to be prompted.
No.
You're kind of, I was interested in it. So I was always interested in singing. None of my friends were.
Yeah.
And then I was the sort of kid that was one of the cool kids at school, I suppose. But then I would rush off and do the school play. And I would literally,
Yeah.
so I'd play football, then go and do the school play, then come back. And I wouldn't even tell my friends I was playing football with. Not that I'm a great footballer or anything, but I'm just saying that the sort of activities that we do in those times. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even tell them I did the school play. I'd be at home learning lines for the school play without even, it's funny because I just remembered that like a few years ago. Like I totally forgot those kind of things. Like it was
Yeah.
just part of my school. Like I was doing my homework and learning lines for the school play,
Yeah.
and my friends weren't involved. So I was always drawn to the arts in
Mm.
that way. Um, but no, I didn't have parents that believed in going to drama school. I think my mum attempted to go to drama school once, and something didn't happen, or she was late or something, and we just didn't end up going because I kept pushing out, please, can I go to drama school or whatever? So it was something that I wanted to do. But they weren't really forthcoming in that, Nigerian parents of a certain time, I should be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So acting and singing just wasn't a thing. But then, yeah, I kind of came through rapping really. I was a singer, but rapping really appealed to me. So I sort of came through rapping, and I got quite a lot of notoriety quite young, quite fast, which was really, really good. So there was a gentleman called Dave Pearce, who is a trance DJ now. If you look him up, like a
Yeah,
legendary trance DJ,
yeah,
really, really cool guy. And in those days, again, you know, without him, I don't think I would have been in the industry. I think he was really,
yeah,
you know, he kind of opened the doors and then was very welcoming. And in those days, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of the industry guys who saw talent and helped bring talent through, and it was that kind of thing, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, so then I used to go and hang out down a radio station, GLR, where my other half works now, Radio London, and answer the phones for the rap show and stuff like that. And then I got to meet loads of artists that came through, all the Def Jam lot, Russell Simmons and this and that. And I firmly decided then, I suppose, through meeting stars like LL Cool J and people like that, I really wanted to be in the music industry. And then that
Yeah,
just set that fire alight in me. And then I just started working towards that. And I wrote songs because I thought everyone wrote songs. I didn't know that
yeah.
people had songs written for them. So I wrote songs, I wrote raps, and then I got into a band, I made a record and this and that. And then my journey started and I haven't looked back since.
That's the thing that's weird. I think from talking to you, exactly what you just said, a few people said that about songwriting. And I think even as like, a kid growing up listening to the music, you do assume that the people singing the song are the people that write like do you know what I mean? Well, it's their song. And I
Yeah,
think there's so much underappreciation for the songwriters and the producers and the lyricists and the composers and all the people that behind the scenes
of
that
course, yeah.
create some of the biggest hits. And I think, like you say, if you can write, financially it's good as well. If you can
Yeah,
write
it's
your own
brilliant.
song
Yeah.
and it be a hit. So what do you prefer? That's actually one of the questions I was going to ask you. Is like, do you have a routine with songwriting? Do you kind of set aside time to songwrite, or are you kind of before you go to bed, you think of some lyrics and you think, oh, that'd be a really good lyric, and it just flows?
It's a really, really weird thing. So when I was younger, in my younger days, I did that. I set aside time to write songs or raps or whatever, and I'd have a catalogue. And I once saw an interview with an old school DJ who's not around anymore called Jam Master Jay from Run DMC. And he was a great, scratch mix DJ. Run and DMC would rap. Jam Master Jay was on the decks.
Okay.
And they said,
Yeah.
do you practice? Do you practice DJing? And he goes, nah, man, I ain't got the time. And I thought, oh, wow, that's an odd answer. And it's quite arrogant and it's quite this and that. But I mean, he was right in the thick of it. And I think what it is now I kind of write on demand when I'm doing something. So I don't
Yeah.
have a stack of raps or a stack of songs. I'm
It's
like,
just sat there. Yeah.
okay, yeah, so we're gonna go in and start recording some new Boys on Block stuff, and then as soon as I hit the studio or I'll think of an idea, and then I'll write there. I mean, our producer Mike Rose, is a fantastic songwriter and a producer, and is a class at that. I've got no want to write because some of these catalogue and some of the songs that he's played me are sufficient for what I would like to say and where I'm going. But if I did need to write,
Yeah.
I'd just pick up a pen and start writing there and then. And I've written I wrote three-quarters of the Phats and Small stuff. I didn't write Turnaround, but Feel Good, Tonight, loads of stuff. Did a stuff called Can't Stop If you look
Yeah.
on the album and stuff like that. I did all that. So Intenso project as well. I did a little house project called Intenso Project Love the
Yeah.
Sunshine. Did a track release of Scott Lee and all that. I wrote all those songs. So I'm a songwriter really, but it's just when it kind of
Yeah.
takes me.
And also, you were in. There's like a bit of a guilty pleasure here because there was a question that someone sent in, and I already knew the answer. Someone said, I can't remember what it was. I think it was the fitness journey. Said, I remember seeing you in Liverpool. I'm sure you were in a band called Benz or something, or am I imagining
Yeah.
this? And I was like, he was, because I remember, if I remember the song, which is quality.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I thought it was brilliant. Like, I remember there was, I don't know, it was like you did a performance, it was on YouTube, there's like babies' heads floating around, like in the background.
Oh,
It's
I
like
can't remember that.
It's
Uh,
the girl. She went on to other things as well. There's
Who?
three
Laura
of you.
J. Was it presenter? Yeah, Ben's. There was three of us. Yeah,
Yes.
Tim Shade and Dart Boy. So it's, the BJ and Tony, good friends of mine, and we were all called Ben. Really, that was why.
Yeah.
Tony's middle name is Benedict. Mine first name is Benedict, and
Yeah.
BJ's name is Benjamin. So that's why we were called Ben's. And
Yeah.
we had a big deal. We were signed to RCA BMG. We were
Yeah.
signed by a gentleman called Nick Raymond, who's still in the industry right now, and
Yeah.
he had signed Take That, and he signed Michelle Gale, amazing, and then he signed us
Oh,
after Michelle
yeah.
Gale.
That was great song.
Yeah, Sweetness, yeah, Narada Michael Walden wrote that, but yeah, I mean, she's a fantastic lady and a good friend of mine. But and so after Michelle, he signed us, and so we came up through the whole Take That period the first time around, and their
Yeah.
team were our team, and we learned a lot, sort of working with them and stuff like that. Sadly, I think Ben's was just a bit before its time. The
Yeah.
kind of the combination. It was a real struggle to kind of build like an R&B kind of thing in those days. So in America, 90s R&B was really happening,
So,
and over here
yeah.
it was a real struggle. It was breaking, and funnily enough, even Take That helped R&B break because they started going more soulful because they were
Mm.
working with Mark Beswick, London Community Gospel Choir and stuff like that. That's why all their harmonies they were doing like gospel harmonies and their stuff.
Yeah.
And they were doing like soul. If you listen to like Sure, Why Can't I Wake
Yeah.
Up With You and Sure, these classic
Yeah.
Take That songs, they were all kind of R&B based.
Yeah.
E17 were kind of pushing the R&B thing as well, with Hold My Body Tight and If You Ever and stuff like that. But we were just a bit before our time. But the person who really, really broke R&B, apart from Damage, was Mark
Mm.
Morrison with Return of the Mac. I think
Turn
that
Back.
changed
Yeah.
that changed the landscape. So yeah.
Didn't that? I remember thinking of a different song, and didn't that just recently feature on the track? Well, not recently. It was kind of redone for. Is it the film Us?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think Chris Brown and someone else has done it, but it's one of
Oh,
those tracks, that I'm sure that
really?
Mark knows. It's The Gift That Keeps on Giving. It's like a
Yeah.
classic R&B track. It's
Yeah.
like having, I don't know, Let's Stay Together. I'm so in love with you. It's like
Yeah.
having something like that. Do you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
kind of a thing, a modern day. Well, it's not modern day. It would have been 1996 now, but it's still like a classic, and it will
Current, yeah.
never go away. That's it.
No, I
Yeah.
remember.
It's like what turnaround is to house music.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's what's really. It's not a shame because I'm glad I grew up listening to like the '90s music, like the late '80s and '90s. And I often say, I mean, when I teach the like kids classes and workouts, I'll often put songs in that you can see, like the kids are like, "Oh, who is this?" And I'm like, "This is Five Star," and they're like, "Who?" And I'm like, "They're from the '80s," and but they put
Love
like
Five
like
Star.
systematic.
Love Five Star.
Oh my God, it's amazing! I was chatting
Amazing.
to
I mean,
Doris.
you can listen. The thing is, you can go back and listen to stuff from the 80s. Even I don't care if you listen to the R&B or the soulful stuff like with Loose Ends and all that business, or you go pop and you listen to Spandau or Duran, or
Yeah,
you listen to Five Star, and it
yeah,
still bangs now. It's
yeah,
still classic. It's still great. It stands up. The
yeah.
songwriting, everything stands up right
Yeah.
now today.
And all the
So
artists,
yeah.
all the artists of today, I'm finding like The Weeknd. I mean, their new song they've done. I feel like they've got these like 80s synth vibes anyway. That I'm like,
Complete that. Completely. You're so bang on the money. The Weeknd, all he's done, and he's probably a lot younger than me, but what he's done is that he's just done 80s music. But in those days, the sort of voices that were over it was like Phil Oakley and the gentleman Pete Burns from Dead or Alive. So it was
yeah,
like that kind of poppy, kind of big, strong male voice. But what The Weeknd has, he has an R&B Michael Jackson-esque voice.
yes,
And so he's using that tone over the 80s synths, and that's what's made it so different. In those days, in the 80s, Michael Jackson didn't sing those kind of songs. He wouldn't sing over a soft cell song. Michael Jackson's music was different. So that's what The Weeknd's done. I mean, I'm really having a train spotting moment, but it's like, but that's the
in the
combination.
toilet.
Yeah, exactly. And the things with music, I'm such a fan, and I think, and I'd say to anyone, who's doing music or entertainment or acting or anything, I think you've got to be a fan. You've got to
Yes,
not just be you know, you're not got,
You're
you
like,
know, all these people who play really cool and they're in bands, but they're not interested in music and they're not here and they're not there. I mean, that's one thing, but I think that's a cool little thing to have. But I think ultimately you've got to be a fan of the
yeah,
art that you're in. You've got to
yeah,
understand music. I can pretty much name songs. I don't, you know, when me and the boys are in the car, you know, our music selection is just because we're all music heads. You know
yeah,
what I mean? It is we know music. We don't just we're not pretending to know it. We really know it. So a
yeah.
playlist is crazy, and we teach each other different things about music. You know,
And
we
it's
share different bits. So
respect for the different. I love the fact of that you can put on a song and it's almost like people say to me, "Oh, you know, wish you could try time travel," and I'm like, you kind of can when you put a song on because instantly, like I was thinking about, I loved growing up Eternal. Thought they were amazing.
mm,
Like I think they were so underrated.
fantastic.
You know, it was very
Yeah,
spicy.
fantastic.
Loved Eternal, and there's certain songs I put on. I've just done this radio show for one of my friends, and he was like, I had to pick 4 songs, and I was like, which is like picking a child, I can imagine, because I was like,
Yeah, know what you
Eternal,
mean.
like absolutely loved, and I was like, but and then I love Five Stars, and then I like Banana Rama, and I was like, but then I like Shakespeare Sisters, and and then it got me thinking, and it is like you say, I think it's a time that music seems to be churned out so quickly now, which I think sometimes, and it's so easily accessible that I think sometimes the kind of the graft to get in the song and the time to make a memory from it. Like I enjoy having all my CDs and my vinyls and my tape cassettes because they've all got a memory attached to them.
Right.
And I think it's a shame, you know, going to the shop or you know, and actually physically, um, you know, having a CD in your hand. Do you remember like? Can you remember the first song you bought? Like that, you know, you went and bought. And you were like, oh, this is a tune. This is you know the first thing you ever got.
Yeah. So I used to go to, I bought it from our price, and I used to go to Ilford. I used to live in Essex and go to Ilford on a Saturday and, you know, and buy like little 7 inches. And
Yeah.
it was George Benson, and it was a record called 2020 Vision by George Benson. So it probably would have been 84, 1984, maybe 85. It was that kind of thing. So it was quite a cool, if you listen to it now, it's a great sort of soul, cool record and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, so I'm quite proud of that. It's not like a one that I can be embarrassed about, but,
No,
but still. It wasn't
I,
like the Birdie song or anything.
yeah, just like I don't. Someone said to me, they asked me, and I think it was. Uh, there was a song. I thought the first one I think on tape was Silk and Steel album, which fun enough was 5 star.
Right.
But yeah, I think I do have a bit of a
Great
complaint
album.
with
Rain or Shine, Systematic. I mean,
yeah, the
track.
slightest
They've
touch,
tunes. Yeah,
slightest touch.
yeah.
I just loved
And
it.
her voice is unbelievable, Denise.
Yeah,
Her voice was
yeah,
is next
yeah.
level, next
And
level. You know,
I never knew this from doing these. Like I said, I chatted to Doris a couple of months ago, and was absolutely like just over. I was like, I can't believe I'm chatting to you. This is amazing. And she told me that, and I didn't know this. She did all the choreography for the whole group. She was assigned. She was like, we didn't have a choreographer, so it was like, right, you're doing the dancing. So I was like, did you make it all up? And she was like, I had to make all the routines up for the videos and the performances and the tours.
wow, wow. Because that was
And I
one
was,
thing about them. They were kind of like the Jackson Five, weren't they? They were really self-contained
yeah,
band. I didn't know that much. I knew that they didn't need much outside help. They were talented dancers, singers, looked great, you know, and they lived in Romford because I lived in
yeah.
Ilford and they lived down the
Oh,
road, so I
yeah.
kind of knew that.
Where are you now? Are you still in Essex, London
No,
area?
I'm in Northwest London now.
Oh, okay,
So,
yeah. 'Cause I'm in Ipswich, so I'm only up the road from Essex. So, yeah,
oh right, yeah, yeah, cool.
yeah,
Our best Radio One road show was in it. It was in Ipswich. We did when I was in Ben's actually. This is just before Ben's didn't quite happen because we were kind of there's a whole story to do with it and it was all a bit corrupt. But nevertheless, we did a
I
show.
love
It was
that.
Mark Morrison, and Damage, and it was I think it was Radio One's first kind of R&B kind of road show,
Right.
and it was in Ipswich, and it was with there used to be a DJ on there with a great, fantastic voice called Lisa Iance, and she was at Kiss FM and then she went to Radio 1. I think she did the breakfast show at one time or the mid-morning show. So yeah, so Ipswich, I've got great memories because the Radio 1 Roadshow used to go there and we was in one of the parks, the main park in Ipswich.
Chantry Park, probably. It's probably Big Chantry
Yes,
Park.
yeah, that was it. So yeah, no, that was.
They do get some good acts. A couple of years ago, they had one of my personal favourite boy bands. I actually thought it was a prank when it came out because I was like, they ain't going to come to Ipswich. It was the Backstreet Boys.
Oh wow!
I was like, they're not going to, and they did. They supported McBusted. It was McFly and Busted, like.
Yeah, McBusted. Yeah, and they did like one of the biggest tours, didn't they?
Yeah.
In the last 10 years, their tour was just huge. Yeah, it's great combination of things. But it was with the Backstreet Boys, like the reason with Ben's didn't really happen because we did this smash hits thing with the Backstreet Boys. The best newcomer for the Smash Hits Awards. Yeah, and it was controversial. I think we won, but they kind of. I said no. I think it suited Smash Hits to say that the Backstreet Boys won. I think Backstreet Boys had paid some money or something like that. So in fact, I know they had, but
found that was all.
It was all a bit corrupt. Yeah, it was all corrupt. Yeah.
The money. I mean, I remember watching that program, the NSYNC one, and it was Backstreet and Solid Harmony, and the manager, what his name was, did the whole series on it. That he just took all the money, and there were
Lou Pearlman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. Talking of which, one thing I'm really interested about, how did Boys on Block happen? Like, was it just, I've got visions of you sat in a bar, being like, do you know what? You're from another level. You're from five. Let's just, how did it work?
You know what? It was just an accident, really. A really organic story. We were booked to do Bournemouth Pride. And we were booked separately. So Abs was doing his own show, Dane was doing his own DJ set, and me and Shane decided Shane wanted to spin a few classic hip hop records just on some downtime from Boyzone, and he was going, the only thing I'd do, I wouldn't mind spinning a few old school hip hop tunes, and they booked him, and he just
you two worked together for a while.
Yeah, well, we do a lot together because we do we used to do Panto every year together and stuff like that, so we always find different projects that we're doing and we have a laugh. So so with this one, Shane was like, he was on tour with Boyzone, there was a bit of downtime and he was like, I fancy spinning a bit of hip hop, whatever. And then someone at Bournemouth Pride said, can we get Shane Lynch? They asked me and then I asked Shane and he said he'd do it. And then he said, will you MC for me? He asked me, would I MC? Because he's behind the decks playing records. And I was like, yeah. So when we turned up on the day, and then we ran into Dane and Dane's like, what are you saying? And then, hugs and yeah. Then we got Bang on the Lemonade, as you do. And so we're talking and laughing about old times and Abs comes along and Abs is there and it's like, yeah. And so so we had a lot of fun and, we had a lot of, the vibe was really, really good backstage. Mutia was there actually from the Sugar Babes. So she was doing the show. So we were all kind of together. And then, and then Shane looked at the decks and said, I don't recognize those decks. I don't think I work on, CDJ2s and Air 1s. And Dane goes, it's no problem. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll sneak on behind you. If you get in any problems, just look round and I'll fiddle around with it. So Shane's like, all right, cool. So then they do that. I go on stage is rocking, this and that. And then halfway through the show, people just start screaming, and I'm thinking, I still got it. You know what I mean? I'm out there, and then I look around, and Dane's got the mic, and Dane's doing it. I don't know where it was there, but he just was, and he was amazing. Crowd went absolutely mad. So it's me and Dane and Shane on the decks.
Yeah.
And then 10 minutes later, a crowd start cheering again. I'm thinking, what's Dane doing? I look around and see Dane, and instead of seeing Dane, I see Abs.
Coming
so
down
Abs is now
the
on the
ceiling
stage.
on a rope.
Yeah, Abs just sort of came on. And so, and then it just became, and then Brandon Block, who was at the side of the stage, it's funny we're called Boys on Block, but, and really the reason Brandon Block being there, because Brandon Block was watching the show from the side of the stage and he liked it so much, he went onto the stage and said, Shane, go out front and I'll control the music. And so Shane went out front and then the crowd went really, really crazy. And then we just thought, ding!
Yeah.
Why not? Bit of fun and stuff like that. And then the rest is history, really.
I think that's what's nice as well. And the thing is, what's also good is you've all been in band or in the music industry long enough to kind of know what the deal is, know the stress, know the, you know, what probably when you're in the you know, the peak of the fame, what you probably wish you could have enjoyed more. So I suppose now this time around, you're like, right, we're going to enjoy it and just have a laugh. And, you know, if that comes across in your performance, then, you know, amazing. Like I think it was great. How did you get to do, because it was, you obviously did Stay Another Day. Harmonies are amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
I was trying to figure out who does there's a little rift bit on the Stay Another Day, and there's like a little, and it is really good.
What? Stay Another Day, the high one.
Yeah.
I think it's Dane.
Is that Dane? Obviously, he's got a really
yeah, I think Dane. Yeah, Dane's the yeah, Dane hits those notes, man. Abs sung the lead. I mean, we've got no thing like that with Boyz. I mean, the next single we done, and you know, it's just we go in and we all sing the song.
Yeah.
And whoever sings it the best sings it. Do you know what I mean? And that's literally what we do. There's no parts for anyone. It's just like whoever does it. So we all have a bash at it. And when we did Stay, I think we all had a go, but Abs just managed to capture what we thought would be a nice representation to bring Brian Harvey's vocal into, you know, 2021. Maybe that's how Brian might have sung it nowadays if he was doing it. Obviously, he was singing it back then, and he did a fantastic vocal then. But so we thought Abs is really stood up because it's a classic record, and we wanted it to be slightly different, and with the harmonies. And then Dane, you know, has, you know, a great sense of R&B and harmonies and stuff like that. So, you know, the kind of really, really high stuff, the Stay Another Day, the long note at the end, that's Dane Bauer's signature.
It's good. I think well that it's, I suppose you've got a song again from another boy band, but it's not from a member that's within the band. Do you know what I mean? So again, but it's great. I thought it was great. What did you think of? Did you watch Eurovision?
I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I've got massive opinions on it. Yeah. So you could say, what did you want to say? So
I think it's such a shame because I think there are some really good songs, and the guy that won, but my opinion anyway. But there was a guy on it. I can't remember what country it was, but everybody was like, "It's like Stay Another Day." He had the coat and the wings, and
really, crikey.
It was on Twitter because it said E17 were trending, and I was like, "Oh God, what's happened? What's Brian said?" But yeah, it was all pictures of this guy. And I thought it was an alright song actually, but it had the boy band feel, and it literally looked like the Stay Another Day, big white puff jacket. Yeah,
we've influenced Europe so much in music, and also, you know, we stream and we sell all year round, and we sell more in Europe than European records sell to us. Yeah. So that tells you something.
Everything.
So that sort of so the whole judging thing, it's corrupt and it's fixed and it's stupid, because at the end of the day, our artists, we export more into Europe than they export to us. You know what I mean? And we have bigger records around the world than people in Europe do. So that whole we don't get any points thing is just silly, and I don't know who they're trying to kid. That's what I really. I think it's silly. I don't know who they're trying to kid. Now, was the song amazing and was it a good performance? It was. It didn't matter what the dude did. You know what I mean? I don't think the performance was amazing, and I don't think it was an amazing song. It was okay, but it didn't matter even if it was. Yeah. You know. So
they could have had Adele on there singing "Someone Like You," and we'd have still got 0 points. Do you know what I mean?
Although I do think that we need to, like, I'd do it next year. I do think that we need to kind of I don't know about Boys on Block. They wouldn't they wouldn't go near it. They wouldn't go near it. But
they wouldn't go near it, or a couple of them wouldn't go near it.
They just wouldn't. They wouldn't walk into something. I'm a bit more jolly. You know, we all got different individual personalities. I'm a bit more jolly about certain things like that. They're like, why would they walk into a game that was rigged? You know, and that's what it is. And I think that as British people, you know, we have to start calling it out. The game's rigged, man. It's just like, it's not, you know, we're obviously not liked. They stopped voting for us in like 2000 or 2005 or something. And, you know, and now we're getting like nil points.
Yeah.
And it's, it's just, we should really pull
Yeah.
out. That's what we should really do. We
Yeah.
should not enter, and that would send a message to what we think of the
Yeah.
competition. You know, and I
Yeah.
hope everyone's watching this. This is what I think. We shouldn't enter.
I ain't playing. Yeah, I'm not playing with this until you fix it. I ain't playing.
Yeah, until everyone behaves themselves and we don't get all this rubbish and you don't keep trying to pretend. If we are so bad, then why do we sell more records than everyone in Europe?
Yeah.
Why do British people sell more records? If we're so bad, if we're such bad musicians, how come we sell more here and America and in your own content? You know, so let's have it proper, as we say, Lisa. I'm quite passionate about it. Do you know what I mean? And I think it would send volumes if we say, you know what, this year we ain't going in for it. So you could have your competition and run around with it. And I know some fans over here would be upset, but sometimes we need to, like I said about COVID, we need to kind of restart things again. You know, get back to basics and get some respect back. And like, let's not, you know, don't treat us like mugs.
Yeah, but like, stick your 12 points.
Yeah. No, totally. I just think I think that they're kind of mugging us off, being really, really honest with you. And it's funny, I've never had a chance to say this, but this, I suppose it's so fresh. But this is what I've thought, and I think every year, and yet we keep going ahead and we keep doing it. And I just think it's unfair. It's rigged. It's stacked against us.
And it's, I feel so, I mean, when you, I don't know if you like watch it, when it gets to nil point, when they go from the lowest to the highest, it zooms in on our poor dude and you see him, but everyone in the arena cheers and goes mad for him and they like think he's bit, and he's like, whatever, you know, I was going in. So it's, it is really sad, but well, look, I don't want to take too much time. I've got a couple of questions. Someone said, what was your favourite memory, your personal favourite from Vicky Lee Ford? What is your favourite memory of the 90s?
I've got so many memories. I think it had to be, I mean, Phats and Small was 99 and that was an incredible memory, and the record, the turnaround and everything. But I think that one of my biggest memories of the 90s before Phats and Small was I was in a boy band called Ben's and we supported Take That. And I think it was running onto stage at the Manchester 9X, and they were so big at one time, and they're still big now, but they couldn't tour. So they had to do 10 shows in Manchester and 10 shows in London because the tour was just too big to travel. And the first night, I think it was August the 5th, running on stage, August the 5th, 1995, running on stage at Manchester 9X and seeing this 20,000 people or maybe 15,000 people. And it's the first time a guy like me had ever seen that many people. And that was it. You know, it kind of like, it was another thing that I thought, I am definitely in the right location. I definitely want to be here. Yeah, I'm in the right place. All the decision I made when I was in school, I definitely, you know, I'm here. So,
this is where I need to be. Who, underscore 17 says, who would you say is the nicest person you've ever met in the music industry?
Gosh, there are loads of really nice people, actually. Loads of people are really nice. I'll tell you who's really nice, and it's not fake. It's Peter Andre. He's genuinely, he's I mean, I've known him for, look, I could be biased because I've known him for 26 years, but he's genuinely a nice guy. Like he's just a nice guy. Like you just, you know, it's not pretend, he's not putting it on. It's not, you know, in 25 years, he's always been the same guy. Same guy, cool. So but I mean, but you know, the music industry is full of nice people. They're not everyone's a shark like people make out. People are just pretty much kind of down to earth. I mean, sometimes you might catch people on the fly and they're busy and they're working and they could look like, but really, most people are quite, you know,
pretty down. Yeah. Talking to Peter Andre, his brother, because his brother lives here. He's got a salon, literally.
Yeah, Mikey.
3 minutes from. Yeah. And we supported Reggie and Bowley years ago, and Michael was DJing. He was the DJ. We were like the dancers and stuff, and there was Reggie. And again, even his brother was absolutely you know, it wasn't pretentious or anything, or like, I'm like, you know, I'll be Peter Andre's brother. It was, I think, it must run through their family. I think just morals.
Yeah,
And
yeah, all of them, all the brothers that I know. I know Danny, I know Chris, I know Michael, you know, and all of them were always, you know, from the 90s to now, just a nice family. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Just like the nice energy, just good
yeah.
vibes. Good
Well,
vibes.
this is the last bit I do on all the chats, and it's called choose. So literally, I give you 10 things. You've got to pick one or the other. Simple as that. All right.
Mm.
So, 80s or the 90s?
Oh, wow.
Everyone always says that first one.
Yeah, no, it's weird. In the 90s, I was making records and contributing
Yeah.
to music as we know it. But in the 80s was where I really fell in love with it. So
Yeah.
80s for me.
A club gig or a festival gig?
I love them both. When, you know, for Boys on Block, and stuff like that, festivals would be better for us because we're that kind of a band. But when you
Yeah.
come from Phats and Small, clubs are what make
It's
you
already.
who you are. Intimate settings, intimate surroundings, you know, that kind of makes you who
Yeah.
you are. So I
Yeah.
couldn't choose myself. I couldn't choose.
All right, I'll let you have it because you right. One tape cassette or vinyl?
Vinyl all day. I mean,
Um,
tape cassette is what you know. Don't forget tape cassette. I mean, you know, tape cassette was what I was brought up on. I rewind the tape, stop, and play, and take the charts off, and
yeah.
you know. And when they used to come out, I used to get the
Depends.
pens. Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
do all that. And so
Never your little finger. Core.
yeah, and
End up-
tape always came first because even when you went into the studio, you recorded in those days on a bigger version of that. But
yeah.
there was something about vinyl and
Yeah.
being on, you know, and there's to say, and in the 80s we used to say, and you know, and I'm on wax, and I'm putting it on wax, and I'm putting it on, and it was just to have your voice on wax was what, you know, was
Yeah.
the saying, to have your voice on vinyl. There's something about that, and some of these people nowadays, some of the kids or most people won't ever experience that, and it's the most amazing feeling. And they still say now that you can't, no matter how digitally, sonically you do things, there's something about the way that the record cuts into a groove that
Yeah.
you can't
Can't
replace.
get onto yeah.
Yeah,
A sunset or a sunrise?
sunset actually.
Starbucks or Costa?
Starbucks.
Yes. Red wine, white wine.
Red. I was just drinking red. I just done a glass of it there. Red all day, all day long. White wines. Me and Dane Bowers used to go to this club called 57 German Street, and at the time I thought it was sophisticated to walk around with a glass of white wine. And I think
Mm.
I had so many nights back in the 90s being sort of like drunk on white wine that I just, if I saw, oh, it makes me
Spell it
sick.
now. You're like,
Well, yeah, yeah, totally.
um,
Can't do it.
your motorbike or convertible?
Convertible, fair enough. Not really a bikes guy.
No. This is going to TikTok or Instagram?
I am beginning to love TikTok,
Hey, your
but
TikTok is hilarious. Your one with obviously I messaged you. You and Vanessa in having that rave in the car. I was like, it's brilliant. It's just
oh
so
right,
hilarious.
yeah. No, we went to a party. A friend of mine, a film director called Freddie Nowaka. He had a birthday party last week, which is like a drive-in, and you never really know how they're going to go. But they're most amazing things. I'm surprised during lockdown there wasn't many drive-in gigs. And
Yeah.
you know, so you tune into a radio station, and so the music comes directly to your car. If you open
Mm.
the windows, you can hear the music, but it comes
Yeah.
directly into the car. And then people come and they serve you food in you know, your car's in a square, in a parking square, and they serve you food if you order on your phone and stuff. And you just have a party, and it's like you're around everyone, but it's just two of you in the car. And
Yeah.
we had the best time. I mean,
I
it
could
was
see
just like we
it.
were
It's like,
me and V was just, oh mate, we were
that
vibes in.
you?
That was
Is
one of our
that
best
you,
nights.
or is that her being like, shove the TikTok on? We'll do a TikTok. Or is that you being like, no, let's do a TikTok?
Nah, it's just, you know what we wanted to do was with that, we were recording it for the grandkids, so they could see
Oh,
what we were up to. So a lot of our life revolves around them. So you know, you know, so I can't remember. I think we wanted to show Zeke and because we've got three: Zeke, Nerily, and AJ. And so we just wanted to show them what we were up to. So it was just that.
yeah.
And then I just thought, oh, these make good TikToks. Like let's just stick them out on TikTok and see
It's
what happens.
hilarious.
So.
And again, I think that's lockdown has done that to people. I think it's been really good for people to kind of get out there, and also things you could never do back in the day. You know, you can have that link to, you know, a celebrity or an influencer or someone that you admired, and it's seeing you. It's your own. It's you putting your own stuff out, and people seeing you for you, which I think is lovely.
Yeah, because more of your heart is like that.
Do it. It's just, you know, since she's got a great sense of humor anyway, but seeing her with you, it's just so you just think, look at the pair of them having a right old ball and the private.
Oh, you know what? She's. I mean, one of the reasons why I was super attracted to Vanessa always is that she's hilarious. I mean, she's so fun because she used to do stand up, so she's got amazing comic timing. Just in dinner parties and stuff. She's just funny. So it was always the humor, and I think that, you know, just like girls say with guys, if you get a guy that makes you laugh, or you get a girl that makes you laugh, or if you get a partner that makes you laugh, partner in general, guy or girl, whatever, you'll always have a great time.
Yeah, so. Which is the best thing. And the last thing to ask you is, what else is to everyone? What is your top advice? Like your anything you live by, or a quote, or something you say, you know, that's your like, motto for anyone watching?
Odd one, really odd. I'm a really positive person, and I've got I think I am, and I have a positive outlook on life.
Yeah.
And there are 4 powers at work, and that we all have these 4 powers. And there's power in what you say, and there's as much power in what you do not say. There's power in what you do, and there's as much power in what you do not do. And at each time, you have to exercise one of those powers to encourage someone.
That is on the head, mate. That is good. I've never heard that before. It's
something I definitely live by. It was something that I was told about 10 years ago, and it took me a while to kind of get it. But it's true. I mean, to grasp it, really grasp it. There's as much power in what you say and what you don't say. Sometimes someone could be doing something that you may not agree with or is not wrong, but it's the wrong time to tell them that. And and the outcome, if you want the outcome, if you want to encourage them, that's not the time to say it. You know, and then, you know, you can say it at a different time. And, you know, so I think if you keep exercising, if you keep working with those 4 powers, and all you're doing is trying to get the best outcome of one of those powers, you just positivity just starts to flow. I
think that's the thing. We're a nation at the moment that feels that you have to comment on everything. You have to put your opinion across. You have to reinforce the rules. And actually, like you say, sometimes it's better to just wait a sec, assess it, because they've probably got stuff going on as well, or whatever the situation is, and then addressing it later. But no, exactly, mate. Well, honestly, Ben, thank you so much for doing this with me. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. And it's, again, me doing this, like you said right at the start, has been something creative that I wanted to do rather than sitting down doing nothing. Reached out to various people. You and people watching this, you've been an absolute star doing this. And agreeing to do it. So I do really appreciate it, mate. So thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Sorry I was a bit late coming on. I was just trying to get my internet right, you know what I mean? Trying to get the wine on the internet, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. So as long as you're there. To be fair, I've been really lucky so far. I've literally there's only been one person that didn't show. I've done 22, I think you're my 22nd guest.
Right.
One person, funny enough, was Mutia.
Shame. She's lovely, Mutia.
I was gutted. I've tried to reach out to her. She did send me a voice clip saying, "Oh, we'll reschedule. I'm really sorry. Something came up." But yeah, I've not heard anything since. But yeah, everything part that has been brilliant. It's just lovely chatting to various people and how other people have coped. I think it's nice for other people to hear you and how your experience has been. So really,
totally. Wicked. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No worries. Well, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Love to Vanessa. And stay in touch, mate. Take care.
Yeah, will do. God bless you. Take care, buddy.